Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out, click subscribe to show your support. And while you're at it, if you're a YouTube user, make sure you click the bell. You enable those notifications so they tell you every single time we have a new episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast go live. Make sure you follow us on our Discord community, Pro Wrestling Podcast, and we are the official podcast of www.tsj101sports.com, the sports junkies. Check them out for everything news related, whether it's wrestling, football, baseball, basketball, you name it, college sports. Get into it all at tsj101sports.com. Are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 every year for the latest and greatest wrestling video games? Certainly not right now. 2K20 looks like trash. That's just my opinion. Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create your wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation. All included. It's totally free. It's Wrestler Unstoppable. All Facebook users, log in now, get it started. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shoutouts like my good buddy Mike in Lansdale, then check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Fro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. We have loyalty rewards. If you are a $15 a month contributor, you get to host an episode of Going Live with me. And if you're a $7.50 a month contributor, you can get entered into a drawing to also co-host an episode of our podcast show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. We'll take questions, we'll take comments, whatever you want to talk about through whatever chat feature you use, through whatever streaming service you use. So make sure you enable that. Get your comments to us. Tell us who you are, too. We like to give you guys credit for your questions whenever you give them. Unquestionably, every single time I do one of these shows, somebody sends me something and they just, I don't know if they're shy, I don't know if my voice comes through a certain way and they don't want to tell me something. Tell me who you are. I want to give you credit for your questions, your comments, or whatever you contribute to the show. Because let's face it, you guys make the show every bit as much as I do. So, and tonight, don't forget, if you have not stopped by the Pro Wrestling Podcast in the past, go to our homepage, frowrestling.com. Click on the icon at the top of the screen for the independent events tab. You can check out action coming to an area near you. Also, there's a tab up there that says In Fro's Corner. That's my blog. Check it out. Put up a new post just earlier this week. Check that out. Tell me what you think. Give me comments at the bottom of the article. I love to hear from you guys, see what you think. So, make sure also you can preview all the topics coming to a future episode. So that's what the biggest help of our website is you can see what we're going to talk about, come up with the questions, and then you can be a part of the show. So make sure you do that. Tonight, lots of things to talk about. We've been off the air for a few days, a lot of craziness going on, but we want to get into some of this. One, tonight was a big night. The Access Television debut for Impact Wrestling, the first real legitimate show for Impact Wrestling. They've been on for a couple weeks doing these compilation shows from like TNA and Impact Past. I don't need to see that because I watched it when it happened. What I wanted to see was new action. And for a couple weeks now, I've been seeing all this old action. I don't know if that's like trying to reintroduce the audience to what they had before. I actually thought that was a bad idea because you're seeing all these matches with AJ Styles and Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe and Robert Roode and all these other things mixed in with a little bit of today's action. Now, last week's episode wasn't too bad because they gave you some of the highlights from Bound for Glory, but this week was the first new episode that was going to air, and the big news coming out of tonight's episode is that there is a new Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, and that is Sami Callihan, who has been doing some of the most remarkable work of his entire professional wrestling career at Impact Wrestling. This is a guy, his character is very innovative. Back in the day when he was in WWE's developmental system down at the Performance Center, didn't really click with their culture. He's a very different kind of guy. But when you check out his work since he's arrived at Impact Wrestling, he has been one of, if not their biggest draw. Whether you go all the way back to the baseball bat incident a year ago with Eddie Edwards busting him in the face with a bat, all the way through the controversial stuff this summer with Tessa Blanchard and the two of them having a match, which it looks like we might get to see round 2 of because now she wants to challenge for the Impact World Championship. I know a lot of people in 2019 think that's a great idea, that this intergender wrestling thing is just, A-okay. I still have a little bit of an issue of it, and it's not like a sexist thing. I just think to myself, how am I supposed to believe that a 120-pound soaking wet female is going to take on someone like Brian Cage. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yes, I'm sure you can edit, and we all know that, it's a work. It's not legit shoot fighting. We get all that. But there still has to be an element of believability. If you're going to try to convince me that, a 130-pound female is going to take out, Brian Cage, I don't know, man. That's a tough sell for me. It really is. So it's not a knock on their athleticism or anything of the female division. I think they're incredible. And Impact has always been actually at the forefront of incredible female wrestling. I just question how it comes across as far as legitimacy and believability when it comes to pro wrestling. Because you still got to keep, some people in the blinds as much as you possibly can. You got to kind of make it feel like we know it's not real, but we want it to be. And I can't see that with some of this intergender stuff. But getting back to Sami Callihan, he's finally been rewarded for all this incredible work he's been doing for them, given the World Championship. And I hope that this is a lengthy championship run. Brian Cage, as much as I actually like his character, his run with the championship was relatively uneventful because he got injured the night he won it. He had a short feud, which really, Michael Elgin is a great talent, but it didn't really produce much for the Impact audience. Johnny Impact apparently is gone. The rumor is he signed with WWE. So there's not a lot of talent at the top of the card. Maybe that's why you're going to Tessa Blanchard. She's clearly the number one draw in the company. So I don't know. I don't know what you do from here if you're Impact Wrestling. You're bringing in guys from ECW years past. You're bringing back Ken Shamrock, who I saw a meme online. I was dying laughing. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I encourage you, go find it. There's a meme that talks about how Ken Shamrock now looks like Al Bundy with a ripped six-pack. That's exactly what he looks like. But he actually is looking pretty good in the ring. I couldn't believe that at the pay-per-view that they had him go against Joey Ryan, and he took the special Joey Ryan move. We try to keep it PG on this show because we got kids tuning in, but anybody who knows anything about Joey Ryan, he took Joey Ryan's signature move, which really shocked me. I can't see a scenario where he would ever perform that. So check that out if you like online. Kind of blows your mind a little bit that he would do that. But in all, Impact Wrestling, for people who haven't been keeping up on their product, they are putting out a great show. They really are. And it's time for wrestling fans to realize we keep talking about WWE and AEW, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Impact Wrestling is ready to take over the world. What I'm saying is what do you watch wrestling for? Do you watch it for the believability? Do you watch it for the theatrics? Do you watch for the pyro? Do you watch for the big crowd reactions in a WWE show? Do you watch to see the Rebels take on the big conglomerate in AEW? What is it that you watch for? Because for me, this is part of maybe why when I was a kid, I was a bigger fan of people like Magnum TA and Ric Flair and a lot of the NWA guys. I was a fan of that product because it was the best wrestling. Ricky Steamboat and things like that. Best wrestling. And right now, there's an argument to be made that Impact Wrestling puts on some of the best wrestling in North America. I'm still going to say that New Japan Pro Wrestling has the best wrestling in the world, but you could easily make an argument that in the United States, that Impact Wrestling is as good or better than almost anybody. So congratulations go out to Sami Callihan. Well-deserved championship victory, and I just hope they give him a nice lengthy run. Add some legitimacy to that championship, a phrase that we use on this show often, something that's severely lacking in the world of professional wrestling. So maybe they do the right thing here and give him a long run. The other big story of the night is that the women of WWE have arrived in Saudi Arabia. Not all of them. They didn't bring the women's division or anything like that, but Lacey Evans, Natalya, and Lana have all arrived in Saudi Arabia. Now, the last time they were there, a couple of the ladies went over, Alexa Bliss among others, and they did promotional work. But this is a little bit different feel. I can't imagine Bobby Lashley coming to the ring and not having Lana right now with as hot as that feud is. But that runs very counter to the culture in Saudi Arabia. Maybe WWE's trying to get people to, open up just a little bit over on that side of the world and embrace a product that they've never seen before. And I think, obviously, the WWE's main product has been received extraordinarily well. I would hope that at some point, it's 2019, people, let these ladies perform, but whatever. It's still exciting to know that WWE's pushing the letter just a little bit and have them go over there. I, for one, am hoping at some point they get the opportunity to perform in front of that crowd, because I think they would appreciate what they can do and how athletic the female talents actually can be. I think that's part of why it would be so revolutionary. I don't know that they get the credit that they should over there, so we'll have to wait and see. We didn't touch on this on the last episode. Got to throw it out there today, though. CM Punk in the news talking about how he would return to WWE under the right circumstances. I believe the quote that he gave was, it'd have to be a very big bag, implying that if they paid enough money, he'd be willing to do it. If I'm Vince McMahon, okay, now come on, follow me on this. You're Vince McMahon. You're sitting there. What is going to make a bigger impact to your ratings? Tyson Fury, a boxer who a lot of the WWE fans, I know who Tyson Fury is because I follow all combat sports. But if I was not a combat sports fanatic, and I mean legit combat sports, mixed martial arts, whether it's Bellator or Combat Americas or whatever it is, UFC, all of them, going all the way back to World Extreme Cage Fighting, I've always followed that world, and I've loved the boxing. I think the first match I ever really got psyched up for was Holyfield and Foreman. I pay attention to all of them. And the thing is, that's the only reason I know who Tyson Fury was. If you're a casual WWE fan, or even a diehard, devoted WWE fan, you didn't know who Tyson Fury is, yet he's going to get paid $2 million. I know the reports came out saying 15. There's other reports coming out saying that that's nonsense. It's more like a $2 to $3 million deal. But whatever. I wouldn't pay $1 million to Tyson Fury because he's not worth it. There's no residual benefit. Now, there is rumor that he may want to come back and face Brock Lesnar later. I'd be okay with that if he does well at this match. But let's be honest. I think WWE would not only recoup the money, but make a killing bringing in CM Punk for anything. So right now, if I'm Vince McMahon, I'm sitting there and I'm planning and strategizing, and I'm trying to come up with a way to really put the nail in the AEW coffin, like you're going to be able to do that at this point. They're too popular. But if I'm trying to really stick it to them, I'd back that Brinks truck. I'd be like, look, CM Punk, I'm giving you $10 million a year, and I'd bring him back. I don't care what it takes. Do it. Make him the highest paid wrestler in the company, because the amount of traffic you would generate and the mainstream attention you would generate from having CM Punk back in the fold is huge. And that's something WWE can't just simply act like doesn't exist. That's huge. Now, the thing right this week that's driving me nuts is this whole Randy Orton to AEW thing going on. Look, I saw the post. I saw the one where it was like the elite level sign. He was standing in front of it. He tagged, the Revival and a few other talents, Elias and a couple other guys, as well as Chris Jericho and Cody and stuff like that. I saw Jericho's response where he was like, hey, send me a videotape. I'll see if I can talk to somebody, being tongue-in-cheek, acting like he doesn't know who he is. I saw all that. And then I saw the follow-up when he sent out his other tweet. Look, Randy Orton has had a 10-year contract that he signed back in 2010. If after 10 years he wants to leave, let him go. Because let's be honest. Yes, he's an incredible wrestler. I will never argue with how great Randy Orton is. But here's the thing with Randy Orton. What are you going to do with him? What has he not already done? Let's be honest. In reality, he's a relatively young guy. And he's already done everything. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, even if there was ballots, which obviously there's not. But he's a Hall of Famer. No matter what they do to him at this point, he's a Hall of Famer. If he doesn't get in WWE Halls of Fame because he goes to AEW, then they just suck. And I wouldn't want to be a part of that Hall of Fame anyways, if that was the case. I doubt that would be the case. He's done so much for them. So if he wants to walk away for a while, we don't have a lot of opportunities these days, like we did back in WCW days, to see somebody jump ship one way or the other. If I'm Tony Khan, I say, Randy, I know your deal's coming due next year. The rumor is somewhere in like the June-July 2020 timeframe. I would back up the Brinks truck to Randy Orton, because that's another mainstream talent you could steal from WWE. If you're Vince McMahon, you better get out there and negotiate an extension. You better do it now. Now, personally, if I'm WWE, I let him walk, because I got nothing for him. But when he leaves, let's say he goes and signs a 3-year deal with All Elite Wrestling, comes back after 3 years and returns to WWE. Now you get the pop from him returning, And in addition, you will have cultivated some new stars in the next 3 years that he will never have wrestled before, and now you've got some new feuds for somebody who's an older talent. Randy Orton wants to get off the road as much as he has been. He wants to spend time with his family. AEW offers that. WWE does not. Yes, they have him at a little less reduced schedule than some of their premium, mainstream talents, but it's still not enough for a guy at this stage of his career. He wants more downtime. Give it to him. Let it happen. But let him go to AEW for a little while. Let him rekindle some of that excitement around his, Viper character. And then in a couple years, maybe he comes back and returns home and it's a big to-do. Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley was announced are set for Wrestle Kingdom 14. The expected matchups: Chris Jericho to take on Hiroshi Tanahashi. That is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right there. I would be thrilled to see Jericho Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. And Moxley versus Lance Archer, because Archer is the new IWGP United States Champion after Moxley couldn't appear because of the typhoon taking place over there. They crowned Archer as the new United States Champion. And let's be honest, I think what they're doing this for is to tie up the loose ends. I believe if that match happens, Moxley loses to Archer, because I think they're going to have him wrap up business over there so he can focus on AEW. Jericho, much the same way. He probably had an agreement with Geto, who's the big booker over there, that he had all these dream matches he wanted to have. Look, let's face it. He's faced Naito. He took on Okada. He took on Kenny Omega. He took on Evil. He's taken on most of their top talents. He maybe get a match with Kota Ibushi. There's a couple other guys, Tomoshiro Ishii. There's a few guys you could put him in there. I would love to see Jericho against Toru Yano. If you don't know who any of these guys are, check out New Japan Pro Wrestling. Toru Yano and Chris Jericho will be one of the funniest matches in the history of the business. I hope to see that someday. But in the meantime, Wrestle Kingdom 14 shaping up to be incredible. If you have Jericho Tanahashi, you have Moxley and Archer, and then you still have the main event of Kota Ibushi taking on Kazuchika Okada, that is a card that is stacked. Like, that's on par with WrestleMania. It really is. So I'm looking forward to that. All Elite Wrestling announcing that there is a new stipulation being added to the Full Gear main event for the World Championship between Cody and Chris Jericho, that now there's going to be 3 judges being brought to the show, so there will be no draws. If they go to a time limit draw or whatever it is that they do, however they choreograph this finish, if it goes to a time limit, which you notice on television, they are going to be using time limit draws, then the judges' scorecard would determine the winner and the AEW champion. I feel like it's too soon to take the title off of Chris Jericho. I also feel like Cody being an EVP of the company, it's a little shady and old schoolish to give him the championship when he's like one of the lead bookers. So I don't see Jericho losing the championship, but I can't wait for the match. I think it should be an incredible match. What I won't be seeing yet, but hopefully will be soon, is Jake Hager debuting as an in-ring talent. He had to wait till he got done this Bellator match he just had, which if you didn't see it, had a premature stoppage because he need the guy in the junk. The best part about it is, after he does it and they get a no decision and all that, he comes out on Twitter in total heel mode, making fun of the guy. Jericho comes out and he's making fun of his opponent. It was just classic, really good old school heel work, and I loved it. I suspect that maybe Jake Hager gets another match with him down the road at Bellator, but this was just a whole nother level to his character. But he was not able to wrestle for AEW until he got done this commitment for Bellator. So now we'll have to wait and see when he actually hits the ring, but it should be sooner rather than later. AEW, I want to give a quick reaction to their dark matches. These have been fantastic. I think it's a smart business move to have other matches you tape at your shows before or after the main show and put them on your YouTube channel. That's just more eyes on your product. And when people are searching for other things on YouTube, your stuff is going to pop up. If you just search for wrestling the night that they put up the dark matches, you'll find AEW at the top of the search bar, because their episodes have been so popular. Check them out. They're giving you really good quality matches. As I've said before on the show, I'm concerned that at some point they won't be able to sustain this kind of performance. But for right now, they're doing a killer job. Hopefully they keep that going. Going to react a little bit to NWA Power, the show that debuted a couple weeks ago. This week was episode 4, and yet again the NWA delivering a quality product. It's great to see people like Trevor Murdoch getting back into the wrestling scene and having a prominent role on some kind of program. I always liked him in his tag team with Lance Cade in WWE. Thought he didn't get used properly when they split up, and seeing, Eli Drake, James Storm, Nick Aldis, Colt Cabana, all these guys really trying to put on a great show. And it has that old school feel, maybe partially because of the studio that looks just like the old, like, Mid-South wrestling, or Georgia or Mid-Atlantic wrestling sound stages. Maybe that's what gives it that old school feel, but the matches have been very good. So check out NWA Power. And then on December 14th, NWA Into the Fire, which is their first pay-per-view. It's sold out in a few minutes, but you're going to be able to get it on pay-per-view. Check that out when it gets here, because that should be a great show. I suspect Colt Cabana and James Storm will have a rematch for the NWA National Championship at that show. Not sure yet who Nick Aldis will take on for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, but they are putting out a great product. It's time for people to start putting their eyes on the NWA once again. I wanted to react. Somebody asked me a question, again, somebody who didn't give me their name, about Kenny Omega winning the AAA Mega Championship from Phoenix at Heroes Inmortales 13 down in Mexico about a week and a half ago, I guess, at this point. And so they asked me, they're like, why did Kenny Omega not wear the AAA Championship, the Mega Championship, to the ring at AEW Dynamite? And it's a tough one for me, because here's the thing, you're AEW, you're trying to build your own brand. You don't really, I know you have a working relationship with AAA, but you don't really want to put their belt on your television, especially on a guy who doesn't have the best win-loss record in AEW so far. So I get why they might not want to have it there, but then again, at the same time, when you see the championship, it gives you more of a big match feel. So on the converse opinion is, I kind of wish he would have wore it to the ring, because it would have made the match with Joey Janela a little more significant. It would have felt better last week. So hopefully at some point we see that championship displayed prominently on American television. That's the side I tend to lean towards, is if you're a champion, I don't care what company you're in. If you remember when AEW debuted, they had Pac on there carrying the Dragon Gate Dream Championship. That was fine, and I was okay with that too. It brings legitimacy, and it makes it a big fight feel for whoever's carrying the gold, even if it's from another promotion. So I think he should have wore it to the ring. Little surprised he didn't. Mentioned earlier about the whole Ken Shamrock, Joey Ryan thing. I just wanted to say that it is official. Joey Ryan has signed with Impact Wrestling, which is a little bit of a surprise considering he was such a hot commodity earlier this year and he chose to stay on the indies. And now he signs a contract with debatably the third, fourth, maybe even the fifth best promotion in North America. And I'm not knocking on Impact Wrestling, but let's face it, WWE's number one. AEW is now clearly number two. I don't know if you count NXT as their own thing or not, so we'll just leave that under the WWE banner. But you still have Ring of Honor. New Japan has a presence here. For those who don't know, New Japan announced New Japan Pro Wrestling of America is an official thing. They're going to have like 16 cities and tour the country and everything. So you've got New Japan here. And then you got the incredible action in MLW and AAW and some of these other promotions. So, with all those options out there, Joey Ryan signing with Impact Wrestling is actually a really good get for them. He's kind of getting later on in his career. So, and this, my understanding is the big reason he chose Impact is they'll let him keep doing his independent showings where he's making great coin on the indie circuit. But I still think it's a great signing for them. Hopefully they gave him what he's worth. And I would love to see him get some kind of legit championship opportunity at some point. Speaking of Impact Wrestling, they announced January will be their next pay-per-view. It's going to be titled Hard to Kill. I love that name. That's a throwback to a movie from the 1980s. Steven Seagal, great movie. Check it out. But I'm curious to see what they do leading up to that pay-per-view, and I'm hoping that they end the Tessa Blanchard, Sami Callihan stuff long before that show, because I don't want to see that be the headline. I'd like to see something a little more exciting, and they've been doing a lot with Marufuji lately, and he's getting over with the crowd pretty well, so maybe you strategically position him for a good match. We'll have to wait and see. And the last thing for tonight, Progress Wrestling over in the United Kingdom announces Club Progress. And reason I'm bringing this up is I love the concept. The concept and the idea is this is a wrestling ticket opportunity where you get the opportunity to purchase a plan. There's like a platinum, a gold, a silver, all these different plans, and they come with tickets to all the shows throughout a certain period of time, and t-shirts and other benefits and all these things for being a loyal person. Now, you buy one of those plans and you end up not going to a show, you're losing out on your cash or the value. But I think this is a great opportunity. And by the way, when you get some of those plans, you're getting front row tickets. I mean, it's good stuff. And I think it's a cool plan, something that other companies, smaller companies, obviously WWE can't do that because it wouldn't make sense. You're not in one town enough or often enough to make that worthwhile. But if you're someplace that runs the same relatively small area or district or whatever, that makes a lot of sense. I actually kind of like that. I know locally to me, I have the Worldwide Wrestling Alliance that's based in Hatfield, Pennsylvania, puts on shows at the Coventry Mall and at the Quakertown Farmers Market. You guys who have been listening to the show for a very long time, you know that I've broadcast from their shows before. You know, a group like that, this would actually be a really smart move for somebody like that. Charging people a set fee for like a season pass and make it a quarterly thing. Every 3 months you renew. But in 3 months, I'll just use the Triple WA model. They do 2 shows a month. And if you're talking about 3 months, it's 6 shows. Well, it's usually $10 to $12 for the admission. So $60 to $72 for admission. But if you charge, say, $60, guaranteeing a front row seat, and you only sold, I don't know, let's say 40 of those, you could sell out your front row with those passes, and if those people don't show up, you got another seat to sell, and you're getting double your money on those seats. I think the Progress Club is an incredibly innovative and new way to do professional wrestling promotion and ticket sales, and I hope they get nothing but great luck from it. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we'll run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, goes out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com. They produce any music and sound we use in our shows. Today's show is podcast in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side by going to frowrestling.com and picking up your copy of this Beazle game by clicking the icon in the middle of the screen today. And to alleyrepair.com, contact Alley Repair for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, maybe university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us tonight. If you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, make sure you check out www.tsj101sports.com for their latest articles on pro wrestling. Check out my blog, In Fro's Corner, at frowrestling.com. And until next time, everybody, take care, have a wonderful night, and check out AEW Dynamite and NXT tomorrow night. Have a good one. Take care.